Friends, happy Friday. I don't know about you, but my Friday is not doing as well as it might have done because it's absolutely peeing down with rain out there. This is July. This is global warming. This is climate change. So it's a case of let's get used to it. But that wasn't what I was here to talk about today. I've been thinking about my mistakes. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I make mistakes every day and at least every week. Sometimes they're just tiny little mistakes, like, I don't know, forgetting to buy the cat food or something. I don't forget to buy the cat food. It's the one thing I don't forget. But it'd be a little thing. I forget to do something. I don't want to do something, so I resist doing something. That's a much bigger mistake usually, but not always, because sometimes it can be about I didn't ought to be doing that, and my mistake was actually in the first place saying yes that I would do that. I've got that happening on Sunday, but we won't go there yet. Actually, we might go there because it's a larger mistake, and it's one of those things where you can learn not to do it, and it teaches you what you really needed to know because you haven't grasped it fully yet. Mistakes, that's where the word comes from, like a mistake in a film. And some of those, when we look at outtakes, as they call them, they're so funny. They're not what was intended. They're not what was really in the film. So our life, like the film, those mistakes are things that we didn't really intend to do. And sometimes they actually do work out, of course. But I'm thinking at the moment more of the ones that don't work out and that you started off thinking, this is going to be a really great idea. Yeah, we are back to Sunday. This is going to be a really great idea. I'm going to do this, and these people are really nice. And there's a friend there. Hi, Dan. And I'm sure you make them too. So let's go for Sunday, because that's the one that's absolutely bugging me and it's freaking me out. But I'm going to get there. So Sunday, as you probably all know, I'm also a wild gardener. I'm a very good wild gardener, and I even got medals at the Royal Horticultural Society's Hampton Court Palace show back in the noughties, 2003, 4, 5 and 6 that I did it. I don't do that anymore. It was fun, but I don't do that anymore. But I've got a local group of people who live around the area, all within about 5 to 10 mile radius, and they're really interested in wild gardening. So I formed a little WhatsApp group, and we all talk to each other, and we visit each other's gardens, and they come up here, and we learn from each other, which is really nice. And it's got known a little bit around. So partly because last year the local newspaper took me on, and they did a fantastic splash about 2 open garden days that I had last year, which was great, and loads of people came, and it was fun then. And it was only in the afternoon, about 2 to 3 hours in the afternoon. Okay, right. I enjoyed that. It had been fun. I'd met nice people. So this year, the local organic gardening group contact me and say, hey, we hear about you in the wild gardens. Can we come? We'd love to see your garden. So I thought, yeah, okay, that's fine. So we fixed an afternoon, a Sunday afternoon. Sundays are good days for this. People like to go out on Sunday and go and see somebody's garden. If you're into it, it's the sort of thing. So we fixed Sunday afternoon. Fine. Things go along. And the woman who runs the thing got back to me and said, hey, I think there might be quite a lot of people coming. Would that be all right? And I said, yeah, that's fine. And she said, but shall we come in 2 doses? You know, I mean, if you're going to get sort of 30 people or something milling around your garden, would it be better in 2 doses? I said, well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, okay. Did you hear those words? Yeah, I suppose so. So I'm sort of people pleasing, and I'm sort of can't be asked to do anything about it. Can't be asked to think for myself and get myself sorted. Would it really be okay to have 2 lots of people on one day? I wasn't thinking that then. Mistake. But it happened. Okay. So then, thought, okay, yeah, I'll have sort of 1 dollop from 10:30 to 12:30, the next dollop from 2:30 to 4:30. Gives me a break in the middle, like sort of, which you normally need to do when you've been talking to people, especially face to face in a group like that for a while. So I thought, oh, that's okay. I didn't tell her those times, not properly. So, and about 2 weeks ago, this is happening this Sunday, remember? 2 weeks ago, she gets back to me. Oh, hey, Ellen, you know, I've arranged for our people to come from 10 till 12:30 in the morning, and then 1:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. What? I'm going to be off my brain. My head's going to be right out of it. Oh my God, what have I done? At least I'm got enough practice of making mistakes and honesty inside to say, oh shit, what have I done? And you know, there's the other bit of me that's inside saying, oh, how could she do this? Why didn't she ask me first? La 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 la. And trying to push the blame off onto her, but of course it wasn't hers, it's mine. And so here I am. So I thought, no, actually I cannot do that. So I write back to her and I say, no, actually, can we do this sort of 10:30 to 12:30 and then 2:30 to 4:30? So she comes back again and sort of says, well, I thought we said 1:30 in the afternoon. And I said, well, we did, but that was when we only had 1 session. And okay, semi-rescue, at least rescued a bit, rescued enough for me to cope on Sunday. So I've got the morning session, and then I've got a couple of hours break in the middle where I can have a cup of tea, stroke the cat, you know, wipe the sweat off my head, and get my act together again for the next lot. And then the next lot come in the afternoon. But that, well, it's ended up with 2 things. Like, I'm not actually going to enjoy that as much as I might have done if I'd been asked, if I'd taken the trouble to make the arrangements properly, to think it through, to actually say, no, I did say that, I did say that, I did say that. A little bit of project planning wouldn't have hurt, you know, Ellen? Tick, 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 got it? Okay. And it wouldn't. And it's sort of like, lesson for next time. Do this. But, you know, it'll be okay. It'll work out. It'll be fine. But there's another thing on there. Right. What am I going to do next year? Because I imagine they will enjoy the garden. I imagine that they will enjoy what I have to talk about and chat with them and tell them and the questions they can ask and all this sort of thing. I'm pretty sure they will. I've got enough experience to know that this is going to happen. And I will work for them. I won't go around with my grumpy face going, I don't care what you want, you're not supposed to do this. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to be that person. You know, that is a totally stupid thing to be. And I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to be my usual friendly self. And I'm going to answer their questions and I'm going to do the stuff. It's a bit sort of like, you know, I made this bed, I better lie on it. You know, I've got this mess. I've got to deal with what I've got. So I'm going to deal with what I've got. But it has brought something else up for me, because I can see me getting asked to do this again. I have had it before that they say, oh, we've seen it in the summer. Could we actually come in the autumn now as well? No. And I don't know whether I'm going to open my garden again. That's sort of like in there as a question. Am I going to do this again? Or have I actually done this and got the t-shirt, licked the stamp, all that stuff? Is this sort of like something that I used to do and that now I no longer need to do? I no longer want to do. So I don't know the answer to that question yet, but the question is up there and it's on a post-it note in my brain so that I'm not going to forget it. Even got an alarm on it. And then there is the whole thing about how am I now being involved in wild gardening? I'm not going to give up the local group because they're sweet and they're fun and, you know, we do get on, we mix, and it's all very easy and natural, and there's no sort of push. There's no sort of like 20 people are suddenly going to land on you at 10:30 on Sunday morning. And so I can do that. I don't feel that I'm being pressured out of that by my other work and my other stuff that I have to do. But it was a mistake. And it was a mistake that compounded itself along the way because, you know, I said this, I then didn't sort that out properly, which took me to the next place, and I didn't sort that out properly, which took me to the next place, and I didn't sort that out properly. Two things happened there. One is I said, it's actually not this woman's fault, despite the fact that we all have this like, I've got to punch somebody out because it's, you know, I hate this and I don't want to be here and it couldn't possibly have been my fault. Bollocks. It was my fault. And the other thing is, like, I really need to take a lot of care about what I'm actually doing. As you know, I've been rebranding for about, well, seriously for a few months and since last year. And that takes, I'm sure a lot of you have done it. It takes a lot of energy and you are literally flipping yourself around. You are changing what you're doing. This is not just a quick tweak or something on it. I'm changing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. This is a big load. So there's the part of me which says, it's sort of the, you know, the teenager who's, I can do that job, I can do that job. And there's the part of me which bounces up and down and does that. And so I've got to sort of like, sit, Rover. No, you know, get it together. Stop going out of your head on it. Okay. So there's a lot of lessons that the mistake has taught me and is in the process of still teaching me that I've still got to learn. Now, this is something that my dad taught me ages ago, which was, you know, he started off with the old phrase, which I think we all know is like, the person who never made a mistake never made anything. So get that one in your head. That's got quite a good feel-good factor on it. Because if everybody makes mistakes and then does good, well, that's not so bad. I can do that. So we can. Dead right. And then the next thing he said was, learn to make mistakes successfully. Now that's big, and it's something I've got a whole little package that I help people do with, because it is big. We can all say, oh, it's all right, you know, mistakes happen to everybody. You know, if you've never made a mistake, you've never made anything, la la la. But that's that's just only getting into the surface icing, the surface frosting on the cake. It's not getting into the ingredients of the cake, nor how you made the cake. And the mistake is the whole of that cake. And it is cake, and it's nice, and it's good tasty. But you've got to work your way down, not just lick the frosting off the top. You've got to eat the whole jolly boiling. Ancient phrase, means everything. Grandmother's phrase. That's where I got it from. So this has given me so much. I'm learning a lot. But you notice I've put markers up for things for the future. That's part of learning to make mistakes successfully. But the other part of it is that I am going sort of, oh shit, what did I let myself in for on Sunday? Hell, I'm gonna hate this. And I'm sort of organized a treat for when it's all over for me, for being a good girl and getting through it. And yeah, so there's all of that. But I'm not actually beating myself up for doing it. And I'm learning everything I damn well can from what I did. And I'm putting that all into the forward planning for what I'm going to do in the future. And that forward planning is not set in stone. This is the guidelines. Who's been project manager out there? Probably lots of you. So project management is great and it's really useful, and we actually do it for everything, including just the recipe for baking this cake is a part of wee bit of project management, the algorithm, if you want to call it that in modern terms. So we all do this, but this is like, it's not set in stone. I've said I don't ever want to do this again. But there is a proviso in my head. I don't ever want to do this again unless somehow it's actually going to be okay. And to check that out, I know that I've now got to do this and this and this and this to make sure that it's okay. And even that might not. Even that, I might still screw up. Yep, who doesn't? So I'm on this continuous threshold. Hi, next person. I can't properly see you. Hello. Right. So I'm on this continuous threshold where I have my plans and I have set things up. Yeah. And I've got the if then else, the problem solving stuff, if I find I don't like it, then I can do this, else I can do that. So I have the guidelines set up, boundaries, but I'm willing to move them around. I'm willing to dance within that space, and I'm willing to go next step. Oh, actually, maybe I could do this. So I'm willing for new ideas to come in, and that's part of learning from mistakes too. And it's big, and it makes such a difference to your life when you do it. So learning from mistakes is accepting that they're yours. Okay, yeah, most of us know that one, even if it's difficult. 2 is, what did I actually do? What did I not do? Because what did I not do is probably a big part of the thing. I did this, then this happened, and I still did that. So that was part of it. So you learn that, at least you learn what you did last time. You then project plan forward well, and you learn not to beat yourself up for making the mistake in the first place, and also to not put everything in stone. So often, and I get this with clients, and I get this with students, and if I'm doing a talk, I get it. It's like, oh, I'm never going to do that again. Mistake, actually. Yeah. If you say never to something, and this is something that is prevalent in fact, fundamental in magic all over the world, in Africa, Asia, in Europe, in America, everywhere, is if you say never, It's almost like you set up a challenge. Really? Okay, so let's just see. If we did that, is she going to fall for it? And this is what the universe will tell you. You actually set yourself up for being challenged again. Now, this has two levels of it. One is the universe does exist outside of ourselves. We are not existentialists. We are not only existing because somebody else is thinking about us. The universe is out there. It's been there long before us, and it'll be there long after us. Okay, right. So the universe actually affects us all the time. That's a good talk point for another time of how it affects us all the time, because it's fascinating. And there is us. And we, of course, affect each other all the time. Now, a lot of coaching and quite a lot of psychotherapy sort of say, oh, you know, this is your hidden child, your lost child. This is your alter ego. This is your shadow side. This is your whatever, your whatever. Only so far. You are still, you know, let's take a little tiny bit of how you cannot exist without the universe. You can't exist without oxygen. Try it. Don't work. You cannot exist without water. Again, you can do it for a bit, but not very long. And you cannot exist without food. You can do it for a bit longer, but still not forever. So those are external things. And we have not permanent and total control of the oxygen, the water levels, or the food levels on planet Earth. And she's always tipping it upside down for us, is she not? So the universe affects us in a physical way. It also affects us in all sorts of funny other ways. I was just looking at a glorious program on chasing neutrinos. Neutrinos are the most incredible particles. They actually go right through us and right through the Earth all the time. And they're very, 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 very hard to see. Partly because they go terribly fast, and partly because, despite the fact that we've got the answer to gravity, no, we think we know what we're talking about with science, at least those who are not deeply involved in it may. We don't know. So we don't actually know what they are. We've got models that seem to sort of work so far, but they're all incomplete. So we don't know how the universe works with us. Only a bit. And all the old ways, all the old magical ways, all around the world, they have more answers that are actually coming out in physics. So we've set ourselves up to go back to the mistakes. I can go back up the line again. Go back to the mistakes. If you say never, you've set yourself up that parts of the universe you can't control and shouldn't really want to. They can actually drop things in front of you and they upset your apple cart. They upset your plans. So learning to make mistakes successfully, a big part of that is to always allow that something else can happen. To always be open that despite all the wonderful plans that you have made, the embuggerance factor can happen and probably will. So you need to learn to be open, but with boundaries. Part of my problem on Sunday, I didn't have my boundaries set. They were going wishy-washy. I didn't set them up. I didn't say, this is what I can do. So making mistakes successfully is so much about how to live. But lots of the ways that I do it and that I teach other people to do, and that is so easy and quick, relatively speaking, when you get the hang of it, but that just requires work and commitment, that you can actually find your way through wherever it is. And the mistake, the wherever it is that you've landed in, and you didn't realize you were going to land in, that's what I call shit creek. And so what I show you is how to make mistakes successfully, how to make your paddle for getting out of shit creek, or whatever else it is you need, and how to get out of shit creek all the time. Because I don't let you say, I'm never going back in shit creek again. Yes, you will. We all do. But the difference is, instead of floundering around, rocking the boat and nearly drowning and yelling, help, help, help all the time, you actually know a bit of how to get yourself out of there. That makes sense. Does that feel good? I mean, it does to me. And making mistakes successfully is a big part of learning to be a shit creek survivor. And there are lots of inner work stuff. They're not like templates that, you know, if I do this, then this, then this. They're not templates. They're things that you learn to do. They're attitudes, they're mindsets that you learn to be in. And when you fall out of them, because you will, you know how to get back into them again. And you may still need to shout help some of the time, but you don't necessarily have to go there first. You've got 1, 2, was it even 3 possible things I could do? Let's try those first now, because they can happen possibly before somebody else can actually get there to help me. Good idea. Yeah, I would say so. So making mistakes are great. They teach you so much. They are my best teachers and they are my best friends. I mean, I'm learning a terrific amount from Sunday. I'm going to probably suffer a bit, but I'll tell you something else too. I probably won't suffer anything like as much as I would if I was complaining all the time, because I've put a few things in place to help myself through it. And I've told myself that it's only going to be for so long and it's going to happen. And I can choose afterwards not to do it again if I want to, if I don't want to. So I'm not going into this with a sort of, oh God, what have I done? Sunday's going to be appalling. I did have a little nice fit of that, but it's a little bit like, don't you ever have times when you think, I just need to be a miserable bastard for a bit? And so you just do the miserable bastard for a bit and then you get over it. You know, to come out and say, right, cup of tea, out of that one. Now, what are we going to do about it? That's it. What are we going to do about it? And what am I planning into the future, getting into my bones for the future so that I don't end up in shit creek quite like this again? At least I can have a variation on the theme. But I don't have to be here again because I've learned from it and I put things in place and I'm willing for them to change too. They are not stuck in stone. I'm open, I'm flexible, but my boundaries are good. I'm listening, I'm talking, and I'm asking myself inside, do you really want to do this? And I'm listening to how I feel, how my guts feel. Are my guts sort of going, oh, I don't, and your stomach starts clenching? Is your intuition saying, this ain't going to happen like that? And is your heart going, I'm really not going to enjoy this? And if any of those are happening, then you say, sorry, can't do that. There's a whole load of stuff to learn. And yeah, this is what I do. This is what I do. I show you how to learn those things and how to use them and what they really are. So, how about this, guys? We all learn to make mistakes successfully. Is that a winner for you? Because it's always been a winner for me, even though I cocked up Sunday and it's not going to be as pleasant, perhaps, as I hoped it would be. If you want to know more, here I am on LinkedIn. DM me. I love chatting to people. And let's set up a call, see if what I have is what you want to help you. And let me show you. Let me show you what can happen for you. And let's get you on the path. Get you as a Ship Creek survivor. And get you doing your soul path. Because you will. Okay, guys, that's it for Friday. Speak to you all the rest of the week on LinkedIn. See you again next Friday. Take care, people. Bye for now.